Don't compare somebody's real life with your real life.
How to build a professional network.
Make the intro very personalized courses. Somebody who studied BCom getting a data science job at Flipkart, for example.
What common mistake do you think students are making? What are the core skills that a student must build? Do you also feel coding is required? How did you deal with moments of self-doubt? How to find a mentor? We're very, very, very honored to have the founder and CEO of Internshala, Mr. Sarvesh Agrawal, with us. I want to share that why you are a legend for us, sir, on Legends with Srishti, because I started my journey as a young college girl with Internshala, with an internship with Internshala, and then doing multiple internships via Internshala. And now sitting across with the founder and CEO of Internshala feels like such a full circle moment. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for the vision and the mission with which you started Internshala, and thank you for transforming so many lives. That is why you're a legend for us.
Thank you, Srishti. Very generous of you to say that. I'm also equally honored to be doing this with you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so my personal journey with Internshala has been very long. When I was a student ambassador and then eventually became the community manager pan India, and my perspective is very from the side of a student. But what vision did you have when you started Internshala? Because your journey was, I believe you're a graduate from IIT Madras. So again, a dream college for everybody. And then you had a good, cushiony corporate job. So why to leave the comfort of the reputation that comes with a tier one college and a job that is paying all your bills and getting into a startup?
It was a very natural decision for me to happen. It happened very organically. By the way, they say that the real magic lies beyond your comfort zone. So I think that's true for starting up also. But the true seed of entrepreneurship was sowed in the last year of my IIT engineering days. So in the final year, you have a lot of free time, right? And you with your friends, you go to a lot of places and travel. So in Chennai, there's a beach called Besan Nagar Beach, which is very close by.
Pesan Nagar
And
Beach. Yes, I've been there.
okay, so we often used to go there and hang out with friends. So we just stay on the beach one day, and there were these waves coming. So the people are walking on the beach. Their footprints are getting formed on the beach sand, and then the waves will come and wash all of that away, and it will be
Mm.
fresh. It wouldn't know that there's so many people who walked on the beach just before the wave came in, right? And I
Yes.
just casually remarked to my friend that our journey on Earth is very similar to these footprints, right? We are here for some time, and those footprints are there,
Yes.
and we
Mm.
die, and then nobody will even know. Like once you're dead, 15, 20 years after that, who would even remember you? Like who would even know that you were here on the Earth? So what is going to be your legacy? So I think that question sort of remained stuck in my head as to I want my life to matter, and I wanted
Mm.
people to sort of I wanted in a way to continue beyond uh, death also. Because of something I create which outlasts me. So I think that was the inspiration, and that was the germination of the idea that how do you create something that can outlast a human life? And I think creating a venture like Internshala sounded like a perfect answer to that, where there's a large social impact. Hopefully, you'll make some money also, and you can live a life learning every day, interacting with young minds every day. So I think Internshala was in a way answer to that calling, saying that how do we create something which allows me to leave my footprints on this earth, which are sort of which stay beyond me also.
So, but you started as a WordPress blog while you
Correct.
had a job. So,
Mhm.
how did the transition come and how did you decide to leave your job for something so uncertain?
Right. So the WordPress job, the WordPress blog was not. It was more out of a compulsion because I didn't know programming. I couldn't code for my life. One of
While
my
being an
friends
IT
advised.
engineer.
Yeah, yeah. So I think if one of your questions was that what advice you give to your younger self, I would say learn programming was definitely one advice that I'll give to myself, because I didn't do that. But one of my friends who was a techie, he advised that while you are starting this idea, just to test it out, given that you write
Mm,
well, why don't you start with a blog, see what traction
mm,
this blog gets, and then decide to do it full time. So since I didn't know how to build a portal myself or code a website myself, I started with a WordPress blog, and I started
mm.
writing about internships and everything around internships. Right, the blog became really popular among the student community because there was no online structured resource where they could find curated opportunities. Right, it's for internship back in 2010. There's nothing. Right, a tier two student had no
This
option.
we are talking
Uh,
about 2012.
11, yeah, 2010, 11,
Okay.
right? Uh, so there was no structured even for IITs. In the pre-final year, the campus arranges internships for you. But if you're a first year, second year student, engineering student, there are no avenues for you to go and find an internship for yourself, right? Back then in 2010, and even today for that matter. So the blog became very popular among students. So that was obvious that students really needed internships, and a lot of students wanted internships. So the blog becoming popular among students was a sort of already anticipated. But what changed, the pivotal moment of Internshala journey came when our alumni affairs office, in IIT Madras alumni affairs office, got to know about Internshala blog, and they said, why don't we send an email to our alumni about this initiative and tell them about this blog is being written, and this blog is meant to build a culture of meaningful internships in India. And if they have any internships that they want to offer to students at their companies, because these are IIT Madras alumni, so they are CEOs, CTOs, deans, directors, very top-notch positions in the corporate world, right, and academic world as well. So this email went out to around 18,000 alumni of IIT Madras between 1961 to 2010. 36,000 people had graduated from IIT Madras, of which we had email IDs of 18,000. So this email went
Mm.
out to them, alumni office, saying that one of our alumnus has started this blog as a side gig, and why don't you have a look and write to him if you have anything of interest. So this blog went out, this email went out, and next morning when I woke up, there are about 800 emails in my inbox from IIT Madras alumni,
You
right,
had
and
your
many of them
Mark
were
Zuckerberg moment.
yeah, I had
Facebook
been
viral
marking
हो
up
गया.
viral हो गया. And a lot of them were running startups. And they said, oh, we are looking for interns, and how do we find interns to your blog? Can we find interns to your blog, etc. So that's when I got first organic listings. Before that, I used
Mm,
to find interns on internet, like
mm,
various departments offer a lot of internships. Parliament used to offer an internship back then. A lot of research institutes abroad offer a lot of internships. So I used to talk about those internships, but I didn't have an internship of my own, like which is only available on Internshala kind of listing, right? So we got quite a few listings from that email that went out, which is when I realized that startups are a big segment for internships. Because startups by
mm,
nature are very predictable. They don't have a lot of resources, but they can mentor the students really well, and they can give interesting and meaningful work to them. So I realized startups can become a very meaningful segment from a demand perspective. So we already had popularity in the student community, but I realized that startups can become a big segment from a demand generation point of view, like companies who need interns. And thankfully, India was just getting on the startup bandwagon back in 2011. It's just becoming more and more popular. It was becoming fashionable to start something back then,
mm.
right? So I realized that now the demand supply, I had more conviction on both demand and supply side of the platform. So I decided to quit my job and do it full time. फिर करके देखते हैं 2 साल तक क्या क्या होता है. अगर नहीं चला तो we'll get back to the job. We always have your degree and your experience with you, so you can always get back to the job market. It wasn't that hard a decision. It was fairly natural and organic process, as I said earlier.
So,
Hmm.
sir, was it tough because peer comparison comes in? For example, when I was doing a lesser paid job, just because UPSC preparation I was doing alongside, my peers were getting promoted, they were buying new cars, new houses, traveling abroad, getting jobs abroad. But you also took the tough path, you took the road less traveled. So, how was that phase when you are seeing your peers do better than you?
So thankfully, I think the social media was not as popular back then as it is today, right? So the FOMO, or the constant comparison that we now subject our lives to, wasn't there.
Hmm.
So I was very content. By nature, I'm a very learning driven person, and I feel that uh, I was a lot more content back then than I am today, because I'm constantly now started comparing myself with other founders and other businesses, and where they are versus where I am. But back then, this wasn't there at all, and I felt best because I took the road less traveled. I was in a way unique, right? You actually feel that very special. That look, I'm the brave one. I've done something. Whether a brave or foolish one, only time will tell. But at
But the
least back then,
rebel
I
in
felt
you
that.
was very happy.
But the rebel in me was very happy that I've given up a cushy job, and there's a bit of romance attached to doing these things, right? You feel very excited about, like, I'm sure that when somebody was done this, for example, when you were doing this and you watch a very inspiring movie, you
Mm.
feel like that character, right? You feel inspired a lot more because you are also in that person's shoes, and you also believe that your day will come, right? So I was actually a lot more content, and I was very excited about doing something which is not many would think of doing back then, versus now when you're
Yes.
constantly compared with you're constantly on social media and comparing yourself with others.
Mm.
So I think that onslaught of 24 hours 24/7 exposure was not there. So this wasn't really there. If anything, I felt special.
So, but what advice would you give to students today who
Hmm.
are in the age of social media and are seeing their peers literally fly past them so fast? So, how
Mhm.
to pursue one's own goals while seeing the world cross you by?
I think one thing which all of us should be, which all of us know and need to be constantly reminded, is that there's a massive difference in the real life and the real life, right? Uh, I mean, we should never compare somebody's real life with our real life and feel low about ourselves. Everybody's fighting a battle. Everybody's sort
Mm.
of doing ship. So I think so I think that's the biggest advice I can give. And I've been on the both sides. I've been on the side
Mm.
where I was very content, as I said earlier. Like, I was very secure about what I'm doing and why am I happy with the 25,000 rupees or 50,000 rupees per month salary life.
3,000.
Uh, no, 25,000 rupees per month salary.
Okay.
25,000 rupees. So,
Mm.
way less than what my peers were earning or what I was earning when I was in a job, right? But I was very content
Mm.
back. But today, just because I'm just constantly exposed to this comparison, I feel less content with those things. So I experienced the brunt of social media firsthand myself, and which is why I'm saying this is as much to remind myself and to others that don't compare somebody's real life with your real life. Somebody's on stage with your backstage, because your backstage is always messy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sir, what worked for you in kickstarting the publicity of Internshala was a strong alumni network and also the people
Mhm.
who are willing to cheer you on because they also need interns. Now,
Right.
in today's age, what advice would you give to students and early professionals on networking? How to build a professional network, especially if you're coming
So,
from a tier 2, tier 3 college?
So I think one is, with all the evils of social media, one great advantage is it also exposes to good people early on, right? And it's a lot easier to network today than it was to say 10, 15 years ago. And I genuinely believe, so there's a saying that your network is net worth,
Net
right?
worth.
Right. And but it has to be done in a very meaningful way. Like, for example, when you speak, don't blindly send 500 LinkedIn requests to people and say they accept your. Then that's not real network, right?
Yes.
Nobody will really help you whenever you need help. Nobody will offer you advice. So I think you have to be really in the moment when you're talking to somebody, when you're approaching somebody. It has to be done very mindfully and very purposefully, is what I believe. And I think there's a concept called luck surface area. Are you familiar with this?
Yes, sir.
Your luck surface
Yes.
will get exponentially when you interact with a lot more people, because they get to know about you. And so, the chances that the theorem is, the chances that you will get lucky increases with you interacting, talking about your work a lot more to the people who matter, right?
Mm.
In the world, that people, those who do, those who talk, right? And it's ironical that people who do talk very little about themselves. And I think there should
Yes.
be right balance. There should be right balance of doing and talking, because
Mm.
the world deserves good ideas and good work. So I think
Mm.
doing this in a meaningful, mindful way is what my advice would be. That, for example, if you are approaching somebody on LinkedIn or online,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Enough research about the person. Make the intro very personalized. Make it. It should be evident that you put in some effort to know about this person, right? Because only when you make somebody feel valued is when they will value you. And the best way to feel somebody valued in today's attention-starving world is to give them your attention.
Absolutely. So you said that instead of random cold calls and cold emails, make a personalized message, research and reach out to the people on LinkedIn or social media who are in your field, and also how to utilize the existing references. For example, let's say I text you on LinkedIn, we have a normal starter conversation. I tell you what I do, and you're like, great, good, keep it up. Now what? Should I ask, sir, मेरे को internship दे दीजिए अपनी company में?
No, no. Obviously, there has to be an ask because if you just tell who you are and what you do and the conversation, this if there's an objective, right? There has to be specific ask. For example, if
Hmm.
you simply said, "I'm good this and give me an internship," is not going to cut ties with most of the people. Tell me that what value would you add in the internship if I hired you as an intern? For example, if you say, "Look, Sarvesh, I could come to Internshala and redesign a social media strategy. These are the three posts that I thought of, right? And I think this will really engage. This will really appeal to the audience that you cater to, right? Then you have my attention because you're talking something which is of value to me,
To me.
right?
Mhm.
So I think everybody the exchange of time. If I'm investing time in you, I want to notice ROI on the time that I'm going to invest in you, right? For example, I'm investing time in this conversation so that I can call one day and say, "जानता नहीं मैं किसको जानता हूँ."
Very kind of you. वो सर आप नहीं करते मेरे साथ इंटरव्यू तब भी हो जाता. I would have always been grateful to you.
The relationship has to be nurtured over the multiple interactions, right? Just not
Course
a
of time.
single.
So I
Yeah.
think one more takeaway for me from this portion is that even if you don't have an immediate requirement from the other person, but
Mm.
you must keep on investing in a relationship because there
Correct.
are always long-term returns in connecting with the people of your field,
Yeah.
connecting with the
Mm.
people who share a similar vision, who have the similar ethics and passion
Correct.
towards work.
Absolutely.
So in future there are collaborations, and always I think one more rule of networking is that keep your bridges alive. Even if there is no immediate return, building bridges
Yes.
and keeping them nurtured yields long-term returns.
Absolutely.
And
Spot
conferences,
on.
sir, did you, thank you, did you also go to a lot of conferences, or should we go to a lot of conferences for networking?
I think, unfortunately, I'm a very ambivert or introvert. On the scale of introvert and extrovert, I tend towards introvert. I can't really. I can do I can do really good one-to-one interactions. But if
Hmm.
you put me in a group of people and just say go and talk to them, do small talk with five people,
Huh.
I can't do that for my.
Your
I would
social
prefer.
energy trips like this.
Exactly. I really thrive in one-to-one interactions, right? Because that's
Hmm.
when I have your full attention. That's when I have given you my full attention. But just for sake
Hmm.
of humoring five people in a room, it's incredibly hard for me. So I didn't go to any conferences, neither when I was a student nor when I started Internshala. Most of my outreach has been very personalized, very one-to-one, very very purpose-led, right? But
Do you
having said
feel you
that,
if हाँ मतलब अगर आप एक्सट्रोवर्ट होते तो आपको लगता है बहुत एस्केलेटेड ग्रोथ होता है इंटर्नशिप का?
really hard to say, right? Because if you look at the all the famous personalities or successful people, all there's no science to it saying that who's in, there's a ratio of introvert being more successful versus extrovert. Narayan Murthy is a great
Hmm.
introvert. Ratan Tata was a great introvert himself, right? These were the legends that
Look
we
up to
knew, we look up to, right? And they are fairly all the scientists that we think of were mostly introverts themselves. So I don't
introverts.
think there's a because beyond a point, the work has to have substance. The talk
Hmm.
will carry only this, right? So I think yes, but at the same time, as I said, if there's a purpose, you can always bring that element of flair, like Steve Jobs, right? I would think that he's a deeply introvert person. He's a deeply somebody who values his privacy a lot more, right? But at the same time, if you put him in a stage with the product that he has built, he would be the best showman that you'll ever get for that, right? So I don't think there's a shade, there's shades of being extrovert, and so there's no easy answer there. I think if I were to give a presentation on Internshala to a group of people who matter, I would put up my best show, right? And whenever there's a need, whenever there's a purpose to a conversation, I would be fully present in the conversation. So I don't think introvert or extrovert has anything to do with the success. I think it's about making sure that your work has substance and what you say has substance. So I think that's what I would think is important. Having said that, I also feel that, as I said, Internshala is scores very high on does things. Intentional
Mhm.
scores low on about things, right? So I do feel that Internshala can be more out there and talk more aggressively about the work it does. Because I see a lot of people with little substance talking a lot more than they should, right? So hence people who have a lot of substance should at least
Mm.
talk as much, right?
Mm.
So I definitely agree that Internshala should be more out there and more uh, uh, bolder in its communication and
Mm.
more assertive.
Sir, speaking about bold, can we
Mm-hmm.
touch a hot topic? Something that got
Huh.
Internshala into hot waters very
Yes,
recently.
yes, please.
So I read this news that
Mm,
Internshala made a placement guarantee kind of promise, and
mm,
that couldn't be fulfilled. So what
mhm.
really happened behind the scenes, and what are we doing now?
No, so the placement, as you rightly said, it's a very bold choice, right? It's a very
Yeah,
bold
very bold
choice,
statement to make. It's a big commitment to fulfill.
very bold statement to make, especially for a brand like Internshala, which has a 15-year legacy to protect.
Hmm.
And there are more than 2,000 students who got
Hmm.
placed Internshala placement guarantee courses, right?
Wow.
And there
Hmm.
are 70 videos, full length video interviews like the conversation we're having right now. They're even go and find an Internshala YouTube channel of these students who got opportunities that they otherwise would not have got these opportunities. Somebody who studied BCom getting a data science job at Flipkart, for example, right? Somebody who was on a maternity break, now finding it their feet way back into the corporate life, right? There are large number of success stories that have come out of the placement guarantee courses, and many of them are available freely on internet. On if you go to Internshala YouTube channel, you'll find a playlist with those stories. Having said that, that's one side of the uh,
Story.
coin success, right? We also failed, and we have processed refunds worth 1.5 crore till date, right? Where we
These
could
are of
not,
the students who enrolled in your paid courses. You've paid them
but
back.
we paid them back once we could not secure them a placement. So we have kept our promise wherever the case was genuine. But having said that, as you scale, right, as you scale these offerings, it is evident to us that there's always room for them to be misunderstood, right? Because no
Hmm.
place, look, just because you buy a cycle doesn't mean that you know how to ride a cycle, right?
Or you
You
will
have to
be
invest.
guaranteed to learn it forever.
Exactly. You have to invest time in learning this cycle. You have to fall down a few times. You still get up and then ride again, right? So I think the biggest problem I see is the communication where just because you bought placement guarantee course, you may think that I'm entitled to a placement now, right? And actually, while in reality, you would still be required to go through the classes, do the assignments, appear for multiple placement drives, fail a few times, then maybe you get an internship. So this offering is something which is always open for being misunderstood or being missold also. Because at the end of the day, there is a human who's selling these courses to students, and his incentives are tied to the sales that he makes. So there are cases where missell have also happened, right? Where the false promises may have been made and they have been identified and they have been corrected wherever they have been corrected. So I think we are also now reassessing this entire offering as to how do we redesign the program, how do we make sure that there's absolute clarity to the students as to what they're signing up for, what kind of skilling they would get, what are the outcomes they should expect. So I think there's a lot of introspection happening internally on these offerings, and we're redesigning some aspects of these programs. But as I said, it is a bold experiment, it is a bold move, and it had its pros and cons.
Sir, I think couple of learnings that I am driving here. First of all, being a leader, you are being very honest, upfront, and accepting also if something wrong happened. That is
Mhm.
commendable. Number two, I think the vision with which a business starts a new initiative, for example, over here you are guaranteeing placements, that was to increase the employability. However,
Mhm.
it got diluted or misrepresented by somebody who is at a lower level only selling the course to get an incentive. So
No, no,
sometimes
I just
that
want to
might
correct.
get diluted.
Correct. But I just want to make it very clear that I don't want to put the blame on the somebody else, right? As a
Hmm.
leader, it's my responsibility as to how I don't want to say that, oh, the sales team is flawed. No, no, no. Sales team
Hmm.
reports to, they are doing what we ask them to do, right? So it's
Hmm.
not their responsibility. By nature, the offering is such that it can get missold, and you may not have control over it all the time. And that's a learning that we have as a leader as to how to fix those
Hmm.
gaps.
And then, as a leader, when you're refunding the amount, that also sends a strong signal about the work ethic and the
Yeah.
intention of the organization.
I would reiterate. If you don't know this,
1.5 CR.
you should refund for 1.5 crore to students till date who could not secure a placement, who met all the eligibility criteria, could not secure a
Hmm.
placement. They've been.
I think that also brings me to my next question, wherein you do everything right, but sometimes still things might fall flat. So, what are the challenges that you faced while building up Internshala and especially in the last few years?
Oh, I think one is COVID, which is definitely, uh,
Okay.
I think, an inflection point in every business journey. I think the world changed
Hmm.
pre and post. The massive boom in online education during COVID, international also rode that wave, and as high it scaled during COVID, equally fast it came crashing down post COVID. We went to offline classes and online. The interest in online learning dipped post COVID, right? So I
Hmm.
think one is the business went through a lot of transformation due to COVID. It was truly black swan event, and business underwent a transformation pre and post COVID. More importantly, it challenged uh, internshala. Uh, uh, it put to test internshala culture. So internshala is a culture led organization, right? And and but during COVID, we saw there's a lot of funding available in the market, and a lot of companies were offering ludicrous amount of salaries to people and to employ them, right? So a lot of attrition, and whether people, and to what extent international in a fully remote environment, right? Because we are a fully in office team, and we suddenly had to shift to an online environment. So the culture that we invested in, could that still hold the people together when there's no
Hmm.
in-person collaboration, is what got tested. And thankfully, it did pay off well. The investment that we made in culture, which is why international still has a lot of people who started with us as interns and freshers. So I think it changed the way we do business. It changed the way we work. It changed the way we think about what really drives people at work. Right? I used to believe that money is not the primary driver for people, but then during COVID, I realized it is the primary driver. And I think the world has become a lot more materialistic since COVID. I think people care about these things a lot more now
Very
than
transactional also.
very transactional. Yes, the world has become a lot more transactional post COVID. Is what I feel. Before COVID, intention was never the paymaster. Like we were not in the top 5%, but we were very happy just because the culture was so solid, right? But now culture being solid is a hygiene factor. It has to be there. But
Yeah.
more than that, you would care about the compensation and
Hmm.
perks and benefits. I think that's another change that I at least I personally experienced
Hmm.
during COVID.
So I was doing a little bit of research and speaking to your wife. So
Hmm.
ma'am told me that Internshala is actually your first baby, both of yours. So
Yes.
when an organization is pretty much your lifeline and you treat it like your first child, how do we make a transaction wherein we give in 90% of its ownership to somebody else? I'm talking about the upgrad collaboration that happened.
No, I think I think the best part about international journey has been that everything happened very organically, right?
Ah.
I mean, my 26 art. So I mean, in one hand, you can imagine a father also gives away his daughter, right? Parents give away their daughter at wedding,
Yes.
right? But is it something wrong? No, it is part of life. This is how the life moves, right? So
Mm.
I think of it that way. Do they stop? loving you less because now you're married? Do they stop caring about you less? No, they don't. But this is
But
something that
parting away with something that you've built from scratch
no,
and
I'm not parting
giving
away. No, no, I'm not parted away with
the
anything.
90%
I'm
of ownership.
no. That's just as I said. I'm not driven by ownership stake or the valuation matrices. Right. I'm driven by
Hmm.
the work that I get to do, the impact I get to make. So Internshala post-acquisition, Internshala pre-acquisition is exactly the same. If anything, we are
Okay.
stronger now because we are a large company backing our vision and backing our mission, right? So nothing changes. Even earlier also, I used to draw a salary that I'm drawing now, right? So as far as my life's needs are concerned, they are already being met. So I don't really think of it in that way. For me, it was the natural next step for Internshala. My 26 in the entire world, I felt there was only one company with whom we have natural synergies, which is Upgrad. And thankfully, they were open to this possibility. Had they not been open,
Yes.
I don't know what would have been, what we would be doing. But I really
Hmm.
wanted this deal to happen because I think the synergy are amazing. I think they're very natural. Just like everything else that happened in International
Hmm.
acquisition with Upgrad, very, very natural, organically done activity. So I'm so very
And I
excited.
have
I'm very
watched and I have watched some interviews of Mr. Ronnie Screwvala, and the vision and the passion that he has towards upskilling and the education sector in India. That is so inspiring.
Yeah, yeah, and he's a first generation entrepreneur. He's a self-made man.
Yeah.
There's so much that you get to learn. As I said earlier, also, the reason I've been doing internship for 15 years, and the reason I'll continue to internship for next 15 years, is because
Hmm.
I really enjoy building internship. I really enjoy the learning that comes with it every day. Now, if I get a chance to work alongside Ronnie Screwvala, who's a first
Hmm.
generation, a self-made man with whom I can learn so
Hmm.
much, why would I say no to it? I mean, this is the best thing that could have happened to me and personally and international as a whole. So I'm so very excited about it. So
Absolutely,
there's
sir.
nothing.
I'm also
I don't
excited
have.
for Internshala.
I'm not. I don't have any. Oh, my 90% stake has gone, etc. I
Hmm.
think it is. It.
This is such a
It
refreshing view. Honestly, people hold on to their equity like it's dear life, but it's a refreshing view when you're getting to do the work that you actually want and getting the support and guidance of somebody more experienced. So it's a
yeah,
win-win situation.
yeah. So I think we have become part of a bigger ship, and
Yeah.
uh,
I think there was a beautiful quote that said that 100% of a grape versus 10% of a watermelon. So
hmm, yeah, of course,
probably. Sir, you've
exactly.
seen a lot of CVs and resumes. What common
Hmm.
mistake do you think students are making?
Uh, so it's amazing that how these things have not changed in 15 years at all, right? Uh,
Even in the age of AI.
even in the age of AI, I mean, it's amazing because earlier I used to wonder that with with Google search being available, how can people still make these mistakes in the resume? And
Right.
I think some of the silliest mistakes would be the resume file will be named resume 2 dot docs, right?
Okay.
I mean, you
So you
can't
should name
name the
it.
resume.
You should name it
Yeah, you
by
should
your
name it. You should name it with
okay,
your
that is
name, no?
fun.
So how will I search your resume if I download it in future? Uh,
Hmm.
how to search for a resume later on, right? You can't
Yes.
name it. People will send just resume as an attachment in the email. They
Hmm.
wouldn't care to write 3 lines about who they are and why they are writing this email to me. So I think
Okay.
that's another uh,
That
constant
is number two.
number
Okay.
two that I see. Why would you not even write a few lines about it? Like what you send you send me and resume as an attachment. Now survey
Hmm.
should figure out what is that you wanted with this file
So
and
there
what are
should
you
be a
looking.
cover letter or a brief
This is
email
the cover letter.
explaining why
Cover
you are
letter.
sending this.
And to the point that I made earlier, this cover letter should be very personalized. Do some research on internship. A lot of time people write to me say, "Dear sir, madam," right?
ये भी नहीं पता कि मैं किसको एड्रेस कर रहा हूँ.
हाँ, तो एड्रेस कर रहा हूँ आपने वो टेम्पलेट कॉपी किया है उसको हर जगह चिपका रहे हो आप ये तो रिसर्च कर लो कि
Hmm.
मैं डियर सर हूँ मैडम नहीं हूँ राइट तो वो
ठीक है.
रिसर्च कर लो
That is
so I think
number three.
just
Hmm.
then fourth thing is when the resumes contain typos grammatical
Hmm.
mistake not
Hmm.
proofread your resume. The font size is not consistent. So these are
Hmm.
the kind of things that I really care about, right? Attention to
जी.
detail and somebody, if your resume is your first impression,
जी.
if you don't care to make that count, then what else would you care for, right? So I think it
Absolutely.
sends a strong signal about who you are as a person and how you how much you value the quality of work that you do.
Sir, the government is focusing on a lot of initiatives like Startup India and pushing startups from all corners of the country. Now,
Mhm.
what do you feel कि अगर कोई tier 2, tier 3 कॉलेज का स्टूडेंट है या किसी
Mhm.
tier 2 सिटी का स्टूडेंट है, उसके लिए आज की तारीख में क्या स्कोप है इन टर्म्स ऑफ स्टार्टअप्स एंड क्या वो अफोर्ड कर सकता है इंटर्नशाला जैसी बड़ी कंपनी अपने लिए बनाना?
Oh, I don't need, we don't need to go that far now. We are the largest edtech in the company, edtech in India, physics wala, has been
Yes.
built by a college dropout. And
Yes, I
college
interviewed
dropout,
Alex sir very recently.
so college dropout from a, not from IIT or IIM, right? From a very regular
Hmm.
engineering college.
Hmm.
So he's an inspiration for me. He's an inspiration for several millions of people in India. So
Hmm.
I think in today's day and age, first internet and now AI have truly
Hmm.
democratized opportunities. Right? There's nothing stopping you but you. So I think yes, exposure-wise, IITs or some top colleges have a lot of exposure easily available.
You shared 4 points, which are the most common mistakes that students make in their CV and also while
Mm,
reaching out to recruiters.
mm,
Now, in today's age,
mm,
what are the core skills that a student must build in order to
mm,
be employable? Because SR survey said that 80% of Indian graduates are unemployable.
mm. So I think one is AI fluency. I think that's my number one skill today. If
Mhm.
you can't use AI effectively in whatever your domain, be it a content writer, be it a designer, be it a programmer. If you're not AI native, you will very soon, or be a CEO, right? If you're not AI native, you will become redundant very, very soon. You'll become irrelevant very, very soon. So I think that's one real skill that everybody must have, and there's no excuse for not having uh, that skill. Second is more, it's not a skill, it's more of a trait, which is ability to desire to take initiative and desire and the curiosity. I think curiosity is inherent. If curiosity trumps everything else. If you're curious, you'll figure things out. If you're curious, you will take that extra effort and make an extra effort, right? So I think being AI native and being curious are my top two skills. Then some things like communication, collaboration, critical thinking, judgment. All these are hygiene factors. But being curious for me is very very refreshing. If I come across a person who's curious and is sort of always tinkering and doing something new, taking initiative, that's
And we
amazing.
connect instantly with curious people.
Yeah, I think amazing.
Sir, I agree that these are the skills needed, but in today's age, do you also feel coding is required? Learning to know how to code?
Yes, absolutely. Why not?
Because
I mean,
AI
I
is pretty much writing code for you now.
so calculators started doing all the math for us, right? But have we taught all that simple arithmetic operations, addition, subtraction,
Mm.
multiplication, division? Calculators have been around for so long; they've been doing this very efficiently. But why are we still being taught these basics? So I think uh, you may become more efficient. The style of programming may change, right?
Mm.
You may not need to write a lot of boilerplate code. You become more efficient. Something that would take you maybe 3 hours to write earlier can be written in 30 minutes or maybe lesser, right? But knowing what does the code do and what does each function call, whatever API that you're writing is doing, is absolutely essential, right? So
My
the way you
mother
do
says
coding will change.
this. Hmm.
Hmm.
My mother says this thing कि अगर आपको किसी से काम करवाना है तो सबसे जरूरी
Hmm.
है कि आपको काम आना चाहिए. तो
Correct.
probably
Yeah.
AI can be used in that way. And ये सवाल मुझसे यूपीएससी इंटरव्यू में फाइनल इंटरव्यू में पूछा गया था. So I'll ask you this.
Okay.
That
Okay.
do you think
I'll
AI
I'll fail. हाँ.
नहीं नहीं.
हाँ, पहले बोल रहा हूँ मैं तो फेल होने वाला हूँ पर एनीवे हाँ.
Actually asked in my UPSC interview in which I
हाँ.
cleared. Okay, do you
Hmm.
think AI will kill traditional jobs that have been holding up our economy for so long?
What is traditional jobs?
Sir, this is the framing of the question they asked. I didn't cross
Yes.
question them, but I made a basic assumption like the manual work that is happening, the monotonous work that is happening, which AI is very easily able to do. The robots
I
are
think
very easily able
lot
to
of
do.
jobs will change. A lot of jobs will which exist today will not exist the way they exist now. That's for sure, right? So it will definitely displace jobs, but new jobs will emerge. For example, and my favorite example is uh, when internet came, right? People said, why would we need uh, courier or post office now? Now we won't need to send any letters anymore, right? And everything can be done on internet, on email. So all the post office jobs or the courier jobs, all the courier industry will suffer. We couldn't imagine e-commerce. We couldn't imagine actually number of volume of deliveries will increase because internet enabled something else that was not earlier possible, right? Similarly, I think so. Yeah, we are not writing chittis anymore to each other, but we are still doing lot many more transactions, which required more deliveries to happen today. The logistics industry, the courier industry actually grew multifolds because of e-commerce, quick commerce, whatever
Mm.
has come. Similarly, I think AI will replace jobs.
Mm.
All the whatever is manual was replaced by internet. Whatever is internet will get replaced by AI, but it will also create lot many more jobs.
So a new economy is also emerging. For example, prompt
AI,
engineering is a new job.
yeah, and I think a lot of people are now a lot of people can do things which otherwise AI is a great enabler. Just like internet was a great enabler at the start, AI is a great enabler. Earlier, maybe you could not build your startup or prototype because you didn't have the funds to hire an expensive programmer and do all the coding, right? But now
Mm.
you
Mm.
with vibe coding, you can actually build a prototype very fast. You can do an MVP really fast. So a lot of these such opportunities will emerge, which were not earlier possible, right? And AI will do things which are otherwise not possible because of it required a lot of human effort, a lot of cost, right? But AI now makes it possible. So newer jobs will emerge, newer economy will emerge.
So you shared that there were many challenges that you faced, a lot of ups and downs during the building Internshala and throughout the journey. During the phase
Mhm.
of challenges, first of all, who was your rock, your support
Mm.
system? And
Mm.
secondly, how did you overcome self-doubt?
So Ankita is my rock. है ना? She has been my rock for last uh, 11, I'm counting, 15 years now. So I think Ankita is
Mm.
the, while she was not officially a co-founder, but she was the best co-founder partner I could have asked for. I mean, I think she has suffered a lot more. Because as an entrepreneur, you are always in your world. You are happy with what you're doing, you know? But all the suffering gets transferred, or
Sacrifices. Mm.
sacrifice. I think she has made a lot many more sacrifices to support my dream and yeah, to make my dream our dream. I think that requires a big shift, and that requires very generous heart. So for me, Ankita is my rock, and she has been, she is, and she will always be my.
And how did you deal with moments of self-doubt? Because sometimes
Just
we
talk to
feel
Ankita.
that, huh?
Just talk to Ankita.
Talk to your wife. Okay, somebody who
Yeah.
does not have a wife yet. तो वो क्या करे?
Then they have to talk to a mentor. So basically, there has to
Hmm.
be a lighthouse that guides every ship, right? So you have to
Hmm.
find out who your lighthouse is and seek direction and mentoring guidance from that person. It could be a person, it could be God, it could be a book, right? But you have to have a lighthouse who will guide you when the night is dark, waters are choppy. So you have to
Sir,
find a lighthouse
many
and.
students reach out to me and they
Hmm.
ask two things. First is, please mentor me because whatever field
Hmm.
I'm in, they want mentorship. Second is, how do I find a mentor? Let's say whatever I want to do, there's somebody who has done it before and better. How do I,
Mhm.
as a college student, find a mentor for myself? Because right now I am in a position of taking and asking. I'm not in a position of giving right now. So why would
Mhm.
the person entertain me? How to find a mentor?
I think if I'll go back to my earlier days in college, my mentors for my came from the earliest mentors were either college senior or
Hmm.
prof, right? Because these are the two easiest mentors that you can think of. Either college senior, who's 2 years ahead of you and has slightly more wisdom than you, or professor with whom you can go and so seniors will give you gyan because it will just so it's just paying it forward, right? They receive it from their seniors, they pass it on to the juniors. The bond kicks in like that. Professors again, because this is their job with the duty, they will guide you. If you're a sincere student, if you want to do a project with them, they would all they also need resources all the time to do their research, do their work, help them with the study material design and all of that, right? So I think these are the easiest sources of mentorship that I would think. You can also, as I said, you can go to events and attend those events, find a mentor, connect with them. But that's not good. I think it's just very hard to get mentoring online. You can get one session, right? But
Hmm.
build a lifelong mentor-mentee relationship. You need to spend a lot more time with each other to develop that relationship, which is only possible in a physical setting by and large, right? So, but then there are these platforms like TopMate where you can find mentors, you can connect with them, and yeah, you're
Hmm.
there, right?
Yes,
I
I'm
think
there.
it's there, so you can use those channels to find mentors. You can connect with people online and ask a specific question. For example, when I was starting Internshala, I used to have a lot of questions about, should I do this? For example, should the technology be in-house or outsourced, right? And I asked this question to Dipinder. I just found his email
Zomato.
address online. Zomato, right? I found his email address online. I just sent him this question that I'm building Internshala, and I have this question whether technology should be in-house or outsourced. And he
Hmm.
said that if it's going to be platform play, technology is going to be a core element of your offering, then it should be in-house, right? So I think so. Whenever you have specific doubts, you can always reach out to people online with a very specific context, and people are quite happy and generous to help.
And that
And
also
you can
shows
always
your sincerity कि how serious you are कि इतना specific सवाल आपने पूछा है मतलब you're not here to mess around.
exactly, yeah, that you thought
Hmm.
about this question yourself and phrased it correctly. Not instead of saying
Hmm.
general mentor me on what?
Hmm. 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 Because everybody's time is very precious.
Exactly.
And one more thing that I'm learning from your journey is that aim for the moon, no matter what. Matlab, even if we fall among the stars. And there's
Hmm.
no goal that is too big or no mountain that is too high. And eventually,
Correct.
probably when we push ourselves out of our comfort zones, it's going to be very difficult. But eventually, we have to have the faith and work ethic, and things work out, as we can see.
Yeah,
So, my
absolutely.
last question to you is.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes the family might not be supportive in the decision that we are taking, and then there
Mhm.
is self-doubt, and then we are seeing that people are doing better than us, especially in the
Mhm.
startup world. How to
Mhm.
keep your head held high?
Mhm.
And secondly, I go to a lot of startup competitions wherein I see that the problem is generic and the solution is generic. And the students say that मैम जो भी हम सोचते हैं क्वेश्चन या प्रॉब्लम उसमें किसी ने पहले ही स्टार्टअप बनाया हुआ है उसमें पहले ही कोई कंपनी चल रही है तो मैं कैसे सही
Mhm.
प्रॉब्लम ढूंढूं अपने स्टार्टअप के लिए
Mhm. So how to keep hold
हेड
your head
हेल्ड हाई
high?
हाँ जब
Uh,
दुनिया आपके खिलाफ है
I
फैमिली
think
भी
that
support कर रही है
तो फैमिली खिलाफ वाला तो मैं समझता नहीं, बिकॉज मुझे लगता है कि एज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर यू टू कन्विंस सो मेनी पीपल अबाउट सो मेनी थिंग्स. You have to
हम्म
convince strangers to do so many things for you. You have to convince employees to give their best years to you. You have to convince investors to give money to you. Right? These are strangers. तो अगर आप अपने परिवार को कन्विंस नहीं कर पा रहे हो, people who really genuinely care about you, तो फिर आप strangers को
हम्म
कैसे कन्विंस करोगे? So I think most more often than not, especially in case of entrepreneurship, the no from the family is just to test you. How convinced you are about this idea, how convinced you are about this path that you are choosing. Once they see the conviction in you, once they feel that this is what will make you happy, they are also happy and supportive. They don't really have a strong view on this. All they care about is ki, your health is good, you are eating right food, you're sleeping. These are the two things that they care about really, and you're happy, right? They don't really care about your bank balance and all these things that as you think about. I think convincing family should be fairly straightforward once you are convinced, and I think that conviction is what keeps your head held high, because once you know that your conviction stems from something real, right? That's what drives you forward, right? That's what gives you the strength and the courage to take on all the naysayers and say, look, I'll prove them wrong. So I think it has to be your internal conviction which drives you there. Secondly, about if somebody's saying that whatever I think of, the problem is some startups already there. A, you have not looked hard enough. There's always newer problems waiting to be solved, and they have not been solved. So you need to look around with a lot more open mind. Secondly, in a lot of times you can win purely based on execution. So even if somebody else is doing
Hmm.
something, right? If you execute better than them, right? I think in today's world, ideas are overrated, execution is underrated. I think execution is so much more important.
Hmm.
So maybe you execute it better than anybody else. Frankly, Internshala is not the first internship platform in India, right? Internshala was not the first internship platform in the world, but today we are the largest internship platform in the world,
In the
right?
world. Hmm.
Not because the idea was unique or something outreach. I think it was the execution which was top notch, right? Very relentless execution. So I think a lot of times you can win basis execution also.
Thank you so much, sir. This has been
Yeah.
such an enriching session, and I really hope that the students get a lot of value from this. The honesty and the vulnerability with which you shared everything from your rock, from how you pivoted, how you overcame self-doubt, what kept you going, and the fantastic collaboration with Upgrad. Huge congratulations again. And most importantly, so many takeaways I've been continuously noting down. This interview has been very informative for me also. Okay, the common mistakes that we just nonchalantly just forget it, and that actually creates an impact on how we are being received by the person, the recruiter, and how we should actually improve ourselves in micro ways to actually
Mm.
win in major ways. So this has
Yeah.
been fantastic, and I'm so grateful that you generously gave so much time to us. And my love for Internshala shall forever and ever continue. I'm so grateful for being the
Yeah.
foundation of my journey.
Yeah.
Finally, you're smiling. Ekdam dil se.
Nice. So
Thank
thank
you
you so
so
much,
much.
Srishti. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope it's beneficial for the audience also who listen to it. I wish you all the very best. Your journey is not any less inspiring, and we'll get to hear more of it tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that podcast also. All right. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you so much, sir. Bye bye.
Bye.